Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Week 3 GILLCAST. Let's get this shit out of the way. Davis Mattek, Sammy, Reid, and Nate Nohling here with you. You might also be listening to this on the rotogrinders fantasy football podcast feed. Forgot to mention that last week. We're here. Juwan Jennings just scored 50 fantasy points. Kyron Williams just scored 3 touchdowns. Jordan Mason did nothing. Isaac Urendo was getting carries in the fourth quarter of that game. A sweet man by the name of Zach Charbonnet bailed me out, even though some people played Cam Akers in cash. Boys, it was a long day. This was a very, very long day, and I didn't have a lot of fun during this day.
I think Nate had a lot of fun. Nate, why don't you tell the people how much goddamn fun you had? Because Jesus H. Christ, it took until week 3 for Nate just to play like the most ridiculous play of the slate and just dunk all over our shit. Congratulations, Nate. You played Juwan Jennings in cash. You're rich. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like when you
It's almost like the guy.
It's almost like when you take Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle out of an offense, yet you still think that offense is going to put up touchdowns, that those yards and touchdowns are going to go somewhere. And so when you can get a guy who's significantly underpriced for the workload, you kind of just jam him in.
What if he's a bad player? Like, what if conceptually this is a player who has 2 touchdowns in his last 32 regular season NFL games?
What was the Vegas line?
6.5, I think, right?
What was the team total for San Francisco? Where do you think those touchdowns were going to go? Because, I don't
Jordan
care who's on
Mason?
the field. Like, they're going somewhere. You literally took 75% of an offense away. It doesn't matter who's out. It doesn't matter who's out.
Yet I noticed you didn't play Eric Sobert.
I did in a lot of tournaments. I just didn't play him there. I just didn't play him in cash. I had a lot of Sobert. You don't think I had Purdy quad stacks?
Oh, I know, buddy. This morning, in the stream this morning, people were like, dude, you got to sim Purdy triple, sim Purdy triple, sim Purdy triple. Well, I got one of them to project okay. The thing, when I was running stuff this morning, and I'll pull up the teams here in a second. When I was running stuff this morning, I kept getting Elijah Moore as the cheap wide receiver. And I was like, I don't fucking want to do that. Okay, I'm gonna get my team out of the way first because I don't really think there's that much to talk about. I played. Well, actually, I think we should kind of do it how we used to do it because this was a more interesting slate. I didn't think there was like one way to build. I thought there were like quite a few decisions to be made because I thought there were legitimately 4 quarterbacks you could have played. I thought you could have played Hurts. I thought you could have played Kyler. I thought you could have played Geno. And I thought you could have played Carr. Now, I ended up playing Hurts.
Fish.
I mean,
Fish move. I done told you this morning.
Can't do worse. He literally can't do worse than 15 points. Like, he just can't.
Yeah, dude, this wasn't the slate. Just the slate to spend $7,300 on a quarterback. I told you.
Well, it was if you realize that paying up at tight end is just, it's not going to be the thing this year. Paying up at tight end is dead. It's a dead meta. You take your 1 catch for 2 yards from Foster Moreau. You take your 1 catch for 8 yards from Sobert. Well, there's no tight end who scores points. I'm walking into a Sam Laporta, Foster Moreau battle, and I'm like, I'm good, boss. It's gonna be fine. I toyed with McBride lineups like at the beginning of the week. Like that's what I had saved when I woke up this morning, and then I just kind of came to my senses, and I was like, offenses aren't scoring any points. No touchdowns are being scored. Why am I trying to pay legitimately $4,000 more for a tight end when I can just take Foster Moreau, who's going to play 80% of the snaps? So that's what I did. The one thing I did big structurally different than you guys was I didn't play Akers. I decided too many ways for that to go wrong, and the other running backs were just way too good at plays. Not to say I didn't play any Akers in tournaments, and not to say that I thought Akers was a bad play. I get it, but I decided against it. Sammy, talk to me a little bit about Akers.
I don't want to. You know, of all these guys, he was definitely the one that had the path to fail. Bring up my team because we because we did this kind of similar.
I was going to say, because Sammy was the only one who played Akers. I didn't play Akers.
Yeah. But I paid it. The thing that I did is I paid down more at quarterback. I didn't think paying up for quarterback was right because, yet again, the quarterbacks aren't scoring any points. So, ergo, like, let's not spend $7,300 or whatever on one. And then I paid down at second running back for Cam Akers. I ended up paying down at tight end for Parkinson so that I didn't
I thought this was the most insane thing I've seen you do. What are we doing using the extra $1,500 to get the Parkinson? What's going on there, brother?
Nah, not to get the Parkinson, to get up to Olave.
Well, yeah, so that was good. Olave, I viewed Olave as the most, like, if you played Olave, I think that you were sharping it. Like, he just was such a good play.
So that was the thing. I didn't like any of the lower priced wide receivers. I didn't love Tank Dell. He ended up doing okay. But it was one of those spots where, like, I didn't want to pay $5,000 for a wide receiver 3. You know what I mean? Obviously, if I had known Juwan Jennings had a 9.5 incher, I would have just done that, but I didn't. So the other guys we could have put in that spot for around $5K was like Jackson Smith and Jigba. Were people playing Demarcus Robinson? This kind of stuff?
No, people were playing Whittington a little bit, I think.
Yeah, some people played Whittington.
A little Whittington, but basically I did not want to dick around with my wide receiver 3 spot. And so originally what I had was Ferguson at tight end, the one tight end, who was a great value.
I think he ended up being the most chalk because Ferguson was in the raw ETR optimal, I believe.
Yeah, he kind of dicked it. He got like 11 targets, just smashed.
I mean, he ended with like 96 yards, 4 points from the bonus, and
yeah.
Oh yeah, no! In the end, I'm wrong. In the end, this was the raw ETR optimal, that's what I played.
I think I don't know what the raw ETR optimal was, but based on what I saw in cash games, I think it was
up right now.
I think Shaheed was in it. Shaheed I faced in a lot of cash games.
Shaheed was either I think I maybe have him excluded.
Oh yeah, Shaheed was the other guy in that range, and I didn't want to play
Shaheed. So Shaheed I thought was like the worst play.
Yes.
Like Shaheed at his max price in cash, and I know he's like, I don't think he was a bad tournament play because he can always get there. But I saw Ryan McDowell post this thread of the average distance of Rashid Shaheed's touchdowns. He's never scored a touchdown inside of 38 yards.
Yeah. Insane.
Like
right?
that is just not, that is the definition of not, but this right here, Hurts, Kamara, Sharps, Olave, Dell. I must have done something to this because you're right. Shaheed was in it. Yeah. I must have boosted Dell. But that's what I played.
So I just didn't like that wide receiver range. And so what I wanted to do, and like,
you like Dell? I thought he was a literal layup.
Yeah.
Dell's volume is not as guaranteed as we want it to be. And I think that's the problem with Dell. I thought Dell was fine, but I actually think the best way to play was probably going down to get Moreau. I think.
Well, yeah, that was literally free. I mean,
I think looking back at my team, I don't even like what I played. I think the best play is a 2v2 off of my team. I think the best play was if you pull up my team and then look at a 2v2. I should have gone Devonta and Foster over Juwan and Brock Bowers.
Yeah. Although
I think like when I looked at everything and I'm like, okay, what's the actual optimal? It was Geno, Sharps, Kamara, Mason, Devonta, Ayuk, Olave, Foster, Moreau, and then Titans D. I think that's the optimal.
Yeah. But, really what this came down to was like, are you going to get up from Charbonnet, from Akers to Charbonnet, which obviously Charbonnet is better, but he was 1,300 more.
Charbonnet, I just ultimately where I landed was like Charbonnet was actually the best play of all of them. Charbonnet was actually like even more so than Kamara. I was like, I just am playing Sharps. Like Sharps is the play.
I didn't get there, and I'm a fish. Because
then
in the end, like that was kind of it. Like he buried Akers, and that was kind of the difference, right?
The
other thing is like, go to my lineup real quick. I thought I actually don't even regret this. I thought going 3 alphas was the move. Like I thought that was
that's the right wide receiver.
You were if you had done does this here, I can see if this fits right now. If you had done Darnold at quarterback,
oh yeah, I'm there.
and if you had and not done Akers, gone down to Moreau and gotten to Godwin and punted, that works. That was way better. That's way better. Darnold, Kamara, Sharps, Olave, Godwin, Ayuk, Moreau, Mason, Titans D. That's way better.
Well, no, take out Godwin, go to Geno, and then you can get Devonta.
Can you? Does that?
This,
it does.
This is the optimal team.
Yeah.
This is the team that we all should have played.
Yeah.
Like looking at this now,
correct.
I feel like an idiot. This is what I want. I don't know why I never built this team, because
I don't think I did either. I don't think I found my way to this team once messing around. But you're right. Geno, Kamara, Sharps, Olave, Devonta, Ayuk, Moreau, Mason, Titans. That has all the plays. That was the right team right there. And I didn't find my way to it either.
So the reason I think Charbonnet was the best play of all. I think Charbonnet was like, of all the running backs, I think he was the one who, the dude got like 96% of the offensive snaps last week. He gets all the passing work and he's going to get the rushing work, even though he's not super efficient on the ground. So like Charbonnet was a clear better play than Akers. But then with Kamara and Mason, I don't know.
It was tight end screwed both you guys up. Tight end.
It really did. And like my thinking was, the Rams would have to go to Parkinson a lot more than, they were even talking about getting out of their normal 11 personnel.
Blocker though, No,
dude, he got 5 targets and he had like 1 or 2 more taken away. He drew a big pass interference penalty on like a wheel route. He was open down the sideline on. And the defender had to like take him down to like keep him from scoring a 60.
I actually do need to correct myself. I thought just from watching that Moreau played way more than this. 40 snaps, 11 to 27 routes. I thought watching it, he was out there the whole game. I didn't notice
the whole Saints offense was weird in this game.
It was whack.
When you look at it, Shaheed still led the team in Whopper again, even though he only had 5 targets.
Is that the first Whopper mention of the year?
I think we have it, folks.
Oh, I did before we move on, I want to push back on this. Tank Dell volume, very good. Coming into this game, very good. 30% air yard share, good target, like the ADOT that you want, higher ADOT than Nico.
16% target is not that great. I'm looking for alphas, bro. I'm not saying he's awful. I think Tank Dell's really good.
Well,
like,
I'm looking
for alphas. Alphas only. The problem with my team is that it didn't actually have alphas in it. It had a bunch of fake alphas, like Brandon Ayuk, who swindled the goddamn Niners out of $130 million, when in fact he's just a beta to whatever other wide receiver lines up on the other side. It doesn't matter if it's Debo. It doesn't matter if it's Ronnie goddamn Bell. It doesn't matter if it's Juwan the Goat Jennings. Brandon Ayuk is a system player, son of a bitch, and
I literally believe
the
Juwan Jennings game should be evidence that Brandon Ayuk is a fucking fraud.
How long after that contract do the Niners have like a we can return this within 7 days type of deal? Do they have any protections like this, or is it just like, here's all your money, we're done?
And I don't even like Brandon Ayuk. I got psyoped by the military-industrial projection complex into playing this guy. Like, I literally have been the most anti-Ayuk guy in fantasy football. I was not taking him. I said Debo over Ayuk the whole time. I said, I am not an Ayuk guy. And I'm just jamming him in to thousands of dollars of sports speculation. What the fuck is wrong with me? This guy sucks, dude.
Egregious. Not only did he dick us in these lineup, but Nate, I had a bunch of prop parlay tickets with Ayuk over 5.5 receptions. He couldn't even get over 5.5 receptions in the game where everybody else in the entire Niners lineup was dust. Like, he got 10 targets. He couldn't even bring in 6 of them. He sucks. The Niners need to look into a refund.
That's the thing. It should be an all-time day for me. This should be an all-time day for me as a hater, and I played him, dude.
Yeah, you're a fraud. You're mentally weak. So,
did you guys consider this at all? Because we probably should have thought about the fact that he said literally last week, we watched the film and I was ass. I'm not in shape. I looked terrible on film. We probably should have considered.
Not in shape. Did. What you been doing, dog? What you been doing? This is unbelievable. This Brandon Ayuk stuff, man. Like, the Niners are gonna put out a Boeing whistleblower type of hit on him just to get out from under this contract. Jesus H. Christ.
This is brutal. This Ayuk stuff. I played Ayuk everywhere. I mean,
I've got him in all these. I've got him. I mean, Olave was my favorite wide receiver play. But I still have Ayuk in some of these bullshit lineups. Okay, for the audio listeners, this is the entirety of my team. Jalen Hurts, Jordan Mason, Alvin Kamara, Brandon Ayuk, Olave, Tank Dell, Foster Moreau, and Zach Charbonnet with the Titans defense. Very funny that both the chalk defenses that were in nut spots just did terrible. Okay.
The fraud quotient of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is completely out of hand.
Let's get the ownerships from the massive $50. I clicked on the 25, whatever. So in the massive $25, Hertz was 21%, Mason was 83%. That feels like people probably should have gotten punished for not playing Kamara, right?
Yes. Kamara was not played.
And they really should have gotten punished for not playing Olave. They really should have gotten punished for not playing Olave.
When I saw ownerships flip, I ran a quick parse through all of my GPPs. Olave, Kamara, and Devontae were all so under-owned. I'm like, man, this Philly New Orleans game, this is gonna be cash money. And it was so tilting that the field didn't get smashed for this. Like, Kamara should be 65% owned here. I don't understand how in cash games he was.
How was Charbonnet?
Was only 36.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. It's like you guys would play Kenneth Walker in this spot with Charbonnet behind him at this price. And it's like Charbonnet literally has all the Kenneth Walker usage plus the Charbonnet usage. And we're just like, he's not a great runner. What?
Well, I'm a fish, like huge fish. Cam Akers, the guy who got kicked off of teams just because nobody liked him and he was a malcontent and is snapped both of his Achilles tendons or just one?
Yeah, I think both.
I mean,
did you play him because of preseason?
I played this guy. I got lucky to even get one touchdown out of him. Alvin Kamara had 26 rushing attempts and 3 targets.
And you played the nine rushing attempt.
Some people did play A-Chain, but first off, I should be clear about that. The A-Chain people would have gotten there. The A-Chain people would have gotten there. At Tim Boyle, dude, he would have gotten there.
Skylar Thompson, dude.
Skylar Thompson can be. I mean, Skylar Thompson's better than Bryce Young.
Buddy, let's not.
I don't see any.
Let's not set the bar too high here. Look, they were drawing dead to score an offensive touchdown. Miami is. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think there was a good A-Chain team.
I played a little bit of A-Chain in tournaments.
In tournaments, but I'm saying in cash, I don't think there was an A-Chain build.
And
in tournaments, A-Chain was the most overowned player.
Yes, because what people ended up doing in tournaments was they just changed one of these 3 running back spots to A-Chain and then kept their core.
You know what the real play was, and it's easy to say now, but you just get rid of Kamara and you put in Saquon.
Well,
right on the other side of the game, who just gets insane usage and breaks stuff off. I mean, that's what you do. Seems pretty obvious in retrospect. TBH.
Yeah, the Saquon stuff is tilting.
Okay, let me pull up a tournament team. Nate, Do your fucking Jennings bit. Just get it over with.
I mean, the Jennings thing was like 4,100 for a wide receiver who's on a team that's going to score points, and there's just like 75% of the offense is vacated. It doesn't matter. You just gotta.
This is like the Christian Kirk day, except
Nate played. See, the people listening to this, they don't even remember that shit. They don't even remember Christian Kirk at 47% ownership going off for 35, and none of us had him. Oh my god, dude. I mean, Nate, shout out to you, but fuck off, man. No, just no chance.
Dude, I told you Jennings all week. I mean, I literally had been on Jennings for 3 days.
You did. You just kept texting Jennings in the group.
He literally just
Jennings
3 in the morning. Jennings.
Can't wait for the show. And then Jennings happened. And it's not just like Jennings got like 3 for 50 and a touchdown and got there. No, he had the best fantasy day that any players had the entire season? Is that?
I think 49.5 is. Well, no, I think Kamara might have outscored him once, but I think week 1 Kamara was close.
Man. No, it was last week Kamara had 4, but not the week we play him in cash. No.
But yeah, I mean, Jennings at 4,100, obviously this is run good, but like I think Jennings was obviously a good play. I do still, looking back, wish I played a different team, but I think the Bowers problem was really where I made a mistake. I should have gone down to Moreau and gotten up to Devonta instead of Jennings.
I don't know. I thought I was trying hard to get to Bowers, man. I was trying hard. He's a dog.
He is a dog, and obviously any week that a tight end does actually score, like if Brock Bowers had gone 6 for 60 and a touchdown, even if Jennings had just an okay game, you still would have been owning everyone because no one got any tight end points.
Yeah,
right. And the thing about Bowers is we just heard all week, oh, Bowers is a fantasy top 3 tight end, like immediately this and that. And if like you're going to get a top 3 fantasy tight end for 5.4. Yeah.
Yes, I would have gone, if I went down from Bowers, I would have gone up from Jennings to Devonta. And I'm saying, like, in hindsight, that's the right build.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I got lucky.
Still,
even though I do think there was obviously run good, I do think Jennings is a good play and was under discussed in cash games all week. Like Jennings was a great play.
People certainly have played worse players, That is definitely true. So dude, I will give you that.
Look at this shit. Are you guys looking at the screen? Juwan Jennings 49.5 points. Like if it's only got one flame next to it, it should be surrounded by flames, like Satan in the pit of hell. I mean, Jesus H. Christ, 11 for 175 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, good for you. It is funny. I feel so I feel so defeated. I won this week, but I still feel defeated because Nate had Jennings.
Because Nate done. Imagine if you didn't win like me.
The massive $25 cash line. That's a good question. What was the massive $25 cash? Last cashing team. Wow, look at that. I beat it by 1.5 points. The cash line was 112.38.
Nah,
this
is Shoemaker. What is this team?
Shaheed legitimately was 20% owned.
It's the only that had to have been the only reason that my team made money.
This guy outscored me. This guy who scored 112.
Well, Kyler was a good cash player.
Shoemaker in cash, and he scored more points than me.
Yeah, the two guys that I don't think we discussed enough at quarterback was Kyler and Darnold. I thought both.
I had Kyler all day. I was my two, and actually I'm realizing now it wouldn't have mattered. I had Kyler Buccaneers or Hurts Titans the whole time, and then I ended up swapping to Hurts. In the end, I think they literally scored the same amount. Kyler scored 15.78, and Hurts scored 15.94.
Yeah, I'm not saying like result wise. I'm saying going into the day, like who was in play, and I think Kyler was a better play than. I think Kyler was a better play than Hurts.
Yeah, he probably was. Honestly, because I do this Sunday morning show now, and I just spend like literally 3 hours in a row looking at projections and running sims, and like you kind of lose the artistry a little bit when you do that.
Well, Nate doesn't.
Nate doesn't.
As it turns out, Nate's like the greatest artist of all of us. We thought Nate was the spreadsheet guy running his own sims and his own stuff and his own model.
14.
And instead, he just says,
Nate. There was a different Nate that played Jennings. Yeah, I guess looking at it now, the Jake Ferguson team would have gotten there.
Yeah, Ferguson would have.
Yeah, Ferguson smashed.
Honestly, sometimes you guys just got to know a little ball. I mean, obviously, like sims and projections are helpful, but sometimes you just got to look at it and analyze the situations and say, even though Jennings might not project well, the ball's going somewhere.
I can't let you finish this victory lap because this is so true. How the fuck did you guys not play Deontay? Like, it's clearly explainable for me to not play Deontay Johnson, but you guys are like the Deontay Johnson guys.
I know. I had some Deontay in tournaments because I was low-key high on Dalton Deontay, but I couldn't pull the trigger in cash for sure.
Yeah, just mental weakness. That's all.
Yeah, okay. Real quick. We should not do the show live. I get too tilted, but I need people to know, like, when I say projections, it's not like I'm making it up. It's like I'm literally looking at a projected number, right? He projected for 9.9 points. It's like, fine.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, he beat it by 5x.
Yeah. All right.
No big deal.
This was the team that I played. This was the team that I played in the spy. It's on the screen. I did. What a moron. What a moron believing that Lamar and Mark Andrews would give me fantasy points.
Mark
I did
Andrews
Lamar.
is big league dust.
So I did Lamar. This one I did exactly what I was just making fun of people for. I just took the cash lineup and plugged Devin A-Chain and JSN in it. I literally just took the cash lineup, did a 2v or a 3v3 and called it good. Lamar, A-Chain. I did play Akers. I actually thought Akers, if this makes sense, let me try and explain this. I liked Akers. I liked Akers almost more for tournaments than I did for cash. Because if he does get that dust ball touchdown that the cheap running back feels like they never get, in an environment where teams are scoring fewer points, he becomes like such a requirement. You know what I mean? Like if a $4,700 player gets to 19 points, I'm not doing a very good job explaining myself. Like
Correct.
these running backs between 6 and 7K, like Kyron Sharps, they're $1,000 different. They have to actually get the raw points. Like one of those guys has to get 30. But if Akers just gets like 19, it changes the complexion of the lineups around it because it means that you have access to higher salary players that didn't project that well, like Mark Andrews or Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb or whoever. Right. So I like, in a weird way, I liked Akers better for tournaments. Anyway, the rest of the lineup: Chris Olave, Tank Dell, Mark Andrews, Jordan Mason, and the Titans. Let me pull this up.
I'll tell you the one sharp thing you did here is you didn't play Brandon Ayuk.
I might have not played Ayuk in any tournament lineups, but that is just because I am personally biased against him, not because of anything sharp that I did. So these were the actuals. I mean, honestly, if you would have told me 7% Lamar, 8% Andrews, I mean, I probably would have just kept jamming that in. It just feels. Obviously, I'll probably never.
That in a game that scored 53 points, stone ass goose egg.
Stone ass goose egg. Anyway, let's see.
I mean, the Andrews thing is that's tilting.
I don't even remember how this simmed. I think it simmed okay. I want to say, sure. Yeah, whatever. 40% ROI. Well, didn't realize any of that today, buddy.
Sammy, what's your take on this team?
I mean, it doesn't have Ayuk, so it's great. We'll love it.
Well,
Love
what
it. I mean, I don't necessarily like playing Akers and Dell in the same lineup.
post contest sims are gonna like it a little bit less than the pre-contest stuff does, because JSN was more owned, Dell was more owned, and weirdly Akers was less owned though, so maybe it won't, because Akers was projected like 40% in small field stuff, and he ended up being like 25%. So that's kind of interesting. What did your post contest sim say on this one, Nate?
Well, A-Chain ended up higher owned.
Yeah.
Like A-Chain ended up being one of the worst running back plays when you considered ownership post contest. Like Alvin Kamara and some of the dust ball guys ended up way lower than expected, and so it didn't like any of the lineups with A-Chain or Akers, and so with both of them in, it hurts it a little bit. But it definitely didn't mind the stack. I think the Baltimore stack, it liked. I mean, Andrews and Lamar were under owned for their upside for sure, but yeah, I mean, what I'm starting to see is like it feels like in tournaments people are pivoting off of the cash team but going to the running backs or the wide receivers that are like
the next tier down.
Fancy, yeah, but
Yes.
the fancy plays and actually in tournaments what we should be doing is keeping the dust balls in our lineup. So keeping the guys like Kamara who you don't want to play, those guys are going to end up lower owned than they should be.
It's happened. It's happened every Breece Hall last week. Like it just keeps happening. Where
the guys that are over owned this week in this contest were Jameson Williams, Brock Bowers, Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, Pollard, Gibbs.
You could have just named that off the top of your head and it would have been so obvious. Yeah.
And then the guys who were under owned were Demarcus Robinson, Colby Parkinson, Zach Charbonnet, and Alvin Kamara. So like ultimately you are right that we do want to pivot off the cash team, but we want to pivot off the cash team with the guys that everybody likes and keep the dust balls.
That makes so much sense. Here's the thing. I forgot to mention this. I had swapped my team before Hurts got the bonus. I had swapped my team to Kyren Williams, A-Chain, and Jennings. I would have scored like 170. And then I swapped back.
You swapped back because Olave scored that tutty.
Yeah. Olave scores the touchdown and then Hurts gets the bonus. That's so goddamn funny. Because I would have just been right there. I would have been right there with you, Nate. I would have been like, I'm the GOAT. No one swaps like me. I'm the swap king. And it really didn't end up mattering. I didn't get any games.
You should have swapped just because the dollars matter more when you swap. Like when you win and you swapped into the win, it matters.
Yes, you're like, I'm the best.
It's just $10 when you swap is way, way more important than $10 when you stick. And so you should have just done it.
Yeah. No, I think ultimately the reason like not swapping was definitely correct because Sharps wasn't that owned. Sharps being at whatever 44% or whatever means it was clearly the right move not to swap. But yeah, that is very funny. I did not play very well in tournaments today, really. Like I didn't even come my biggest stance. So I did a Lamar Andrews. I did a Lamar Andrews. I did a Kyler McBride, and then all the rest of my teams were Stroud doubles with Nico, or not with Nico, with Diggs and Dell. I was big on Diggs and Dell.
How'd that turn out?
I literally think this is the first week that I didn't even come close to having like a good team. Like not even like I didn't even have when the Texans went down 14-0, I was like, I'm rich.
It's on.
No one played better than me. I'm getting 52 Stroud passing attempts. We are rich, and we're not, man. We're not rich.
All right.
Sammy.
Yep. So my $50 red zone team. You want me to read it off?
Yes.
Okay. Kyler Murray. Just one of the slappies that did this. Kyler, Charbonnet, Akers, Marvin Harrison Jr., Brandon Ayuk, Loser
Oh,
lineup.
oh,
Loser lineup. JSN, Ferguson, Mason, and the Titans.
I'm gonna guess that this sims at like 35%. What do you think, Nate?
I actually have this team is pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is gonna sim pretty well. 71%, 31% cash
Sammy,
rate.
That's what I had. I have like a 60%, or what is it? 64% ROI in this. So like that's a pretty solid ROI. I mean, you didn't get massively hit by any ownership issues on this one. You got Charbonnet, which was like a great underowned, like the cards flipped in your favor there. Akers, not so much, but then, I mean, Ferguson. Yeah, I mean, this is a good team.
It is a good team. I mean, you kind of did all the things. It is the chalky core of running backs. But Marvin Harrison Jr. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is a really good play for two reasons. The first being it's a weird salary range. $7,400 wide receiver. There was no $7,400 wide receiver that hit any chalk build. And then the combination of paying up for that wide receiver, but not going all the way to CD or Jefferson and playing Jake Ferguson. And, this is such a 2024 DFS thing. But actually, the fact that you didn't do a bring back with the Kyler stack, it makes it better. It's more unique because so many people are playing bringbacks now.
So I
know what this team would have done? This team would have had Jameson Williams as the bringback. That's what everybody else did, and that's why Jameson Williams got steamed up. Like
that's
Jameson
right.
Williams.
So I played JSN straight up over JMO.
Yeah.
Like just straight up. I decided no bring back. Like I'm just playing I'm just playing JSN. I really believe in JSN. And I thought he was like under. So that's what happens if you just plug in JMO.
I moved the defense too. I moved the defense too. But yeah, I mean, the 2v2 was a 90% loss of sim ROI.
What was JMO owned in this contest, Sammy?
I don't know. Too lazy.
Oh, here this has Cardinals D. This says Cardinals D. It's not like Rams D. Sure, let's sim it with Rams D and see if it changes it. It doesn't really. Yeah, it's still bad. Still really bad.
Let me check real quick and see what JMO was owned at in this because Jameson Williams was owned at 24.5%. He was
that's got to be the worst play of the year thus far. That's got to be the Jameson Williams at 24%.
And I bet if we did like a combination search on this, the Jameson Williams Kyler combo is probably above 75%.
Has a Cardinal. Yeah, has a Jameson Williams at 24% owned. How many of those have just a Cardinal in it? Yeah. Like 90% of them probably.
And that's why I think like the bring back might be dead because I think too many people are just forcing it. Because I don't think Jameson Williams would have been 25% owned had it not been for this game. I mean, he's literally the second highest owned wide receiver in this contest. It's
that's crazy. So
Jameson
for me, that's something I've had to like wean myself off of. Right? Is like, oh yeah, I stack and then I bring it back and do all this stuff. Like it is very 2019 or whatever. And to your point, it makes the lineup formation, like forget about the percentage owned or the factors or all that. It makes the stack itself unique because more people than not are bringing it back always. So if you don't, it just makes your stack unique.
Yeah. And honestly, it blows my mind that Jameson Williams was the second highest owned wide receiver. That means he's more owned than Devonta Smith. He's more owned than Chris Olave.
Well, he had like a shitload of air yards and like 19 targets in the first two games. He's a top 10 NFL draft pick with a ton of pedigree. I mean, I don't think it was that bad.
He was projected at
everybody had the same
6.5.
idea.
He was projected at 6.5%, and he came in at 25%. That's insane.
Yeah, everybody had the same idea.
That is insanely bad, dude.
I cannot fathom playing into that ownership. I mean, that's the worst play on the board.
It's as bad as playing A-Chain in a 30% ownership.
But that's the thing is nobody thought he would be that owned, right? Because they saw the 6% or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, like it's on, and just everyone had the same idea.
Yeah. So I just simmed this contest, Davis, just to see like who is the highest and the best lineup in this contest for me is actually one of your friends, Kyle Cannon. He did a Geno.
Wow.
He did a Geno triple. Sim this team real quick.
Pretty sure he was swapping on on a lot of those, but
okay,
yes.
Let's sim this team. I want to see what this comes back at. It's Geno, Alvin Kamara, Zach Charbonnet, Chris Olave, DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk, Noah Fant, Jordan Mason, and Vikings.
Vikings D was so sharp. Fant, Vikings. I missed the wide receiver 3.
Insanely sharp.
Wide receiver 3 was Ayuk. So it's Olave, Metcalf, and Ayuk.
It might not like this. Wow. My boy shipped the squib. Shout out to you, Bobby Hill. Killing shit.
So yeah, this team, the Sims.
Oh god damn!
You give the Sims a triple stack, and it's just like you are the greatest man who's ever played daily fantasy sports.
No offense, 190% Sim ROI.
See, here's the thing: the reason this is so good is because he's not giving up that much projection. I mean, the fact that you're able to get this while still keeping Kamara, Charbonnet, and Mason. He's got Ayuk, Metcalf, and Olave. I mean, he's literally getting all the correlation on his side without giving up almost any projection. And so this is an incredible lineup. Like it's
really good.
Yeah. So shout out to Kyle Cannon. I doubt he's listening or built this by hand, but still, that's a great lineup.
No, I bet 100% he built this by hand. Now he also probably built this by hand with the solver. So there's a little bit of feedback loop going on in there.
But it sims out well in my stuff too. I mean, I don't have solver sims, so
I didn't think Geno looked bad today. It's just, it's one of those games. I did not.
He had 200 passing yards at the half. Didn't end up with the bonus.
Didn't end up with the bonus. Did not end up with the bonus. Okay. Nate, give the people what they want. Give us your most insane bullshit, please.
I didn't really have any.
Oh,
I mean, I guess okay. So I had one good team in the 50K red zone that finished 15th, and it was a Darnold Jefferson stack.
I did that. That was really good. I didn't end up getting that, and I feel bad because I'm a big Darnold believer. By the way, I just want to answer this. Geno and Cash was not bad. Geno and Cash perfectly fine.
Yeah, Geno and Cash was fine. So, but I'll break down one of my Wildcat teams that I really liked that you guys will all hate. So is Purdy, Charbonnet, Alvin Kamara, Ayuk, Devonta, Olave, Saubert.
Hold on. Saubert. Okay, who are the wide receivers?
Ayuk, Devontae, Olave.
I actually don't hate this.
Saubert, Mason, Vikings D.
I don't hate this because, I'll tell you why. The first is Eric Saubert literally doesn't matter. Like you could replace him with Foster Moreau. It literally does not matter. Like that.
So I had this one in the Wildcat. So let's sim that one in the Wildcat. See how that goes.
Wait. Did you say Mason Tipton?
No.
That's funny.
Jordan Mason.
I was like, wow, it's
would not have simmed very well with Mason Tipton.
So this is similar to what Kyle did. Just is this post contest or pre?
This is pre.
Oh. So
normally it loves your triple stacks. Normally I'm very surprised because normally it fucking loves when you feed shit in there.
Yeah, so it's a triple stack, but I also feel like I didn't have to give up much projection to get there because I think I I got Kamara, Charbonnet, Mason. Those were the 3 lock running backs. I got the 3 wide receiver locks with Ayuk, Devontae, and Olave. It was just the Saubert, Vikings, and Brock Purdy thing that was a pivot. And pretty much all 3 of those positions, I feel like if the quarterback hits, you're going to get the stack that hits. The tight end, you're not giving up much projection anyway. And then defense is so volatile on a week-to-week basis that, like, again, anytime I can shift correlation in my favor without having to give up much mean projection, I want to do that. So I really liked this team.
Yeah, it's good. Fiddle with it and put in Jennings.
Yes, obviously Jennings would have.
Yeah. Like take out Saubert and put in Jennings.
No. Yeah. So let's do Jennings, and then what tight end would it have been? Jennings, Ferguson, 4.6K.
Or Goddard.
It's gonna love it. It's gonna love it. It's gonna
be
74%.
A little more.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Put in Goddard instead of Ferguson because you get a little correlation with Kamara and Olave.
I did do Ferguson.
No, he said Goddard.
Oh, Goddard. Goddard just did not project that well, which is kind of funny.
And I'm guessing Purdy must not have projected well in the solver for this to not like this team.
I'm sure they did a little bit of I'm sure they did a little bit of an efficiency doc with Purdy, with Debo and Kittle out.
Well, either way, I really like that
Purdy,
team.
The loss to the Rams. There we go. Carson Steele it's the Carson Steele show.
It's the Xavier Worthy show. They got him 3 consecutive touches.
Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, none of my tournaments hit like massively, but I cashed I cashed a decent amount, and then I got close in that red zone. So the Darnold Jefferson at first half looked like it was going to be gold, but then it didn't get there at the end.
I know, it's so annoying. It's so he banged his finger. He banged his finger on Derek Stingley's helmet and then had 2 drops, which leads me to believe that he was like legitimately banged up. What can you do? Just kind of more.
This is a good team.
This is a good team. So kind of just more broadly, what are you guys doing with the idea that scoring is so far down? Like the main thing I did today was I would never put a wide receiver in the flex right now. Like I would rather die than put 2020 DFS. We're like finding a way to get CD and Jefferson in. If I gotta play Foster Moreau and Jake Ferguson together to make it happen, then that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm like, dude, no shot. Just give me Cam Akers. Give me Cam Akers over any. Actually, this is a great one. Give me Cam Akers over any of the dust ball Rams wide receivers. Give me Akers over Robinson, over Whittington, over Atwell, over any of those guys. Yeah, which is not how I would have played it before.
Yeah, and you can see what I'm trying to do is like not pay up at quarterback very, very often. Like certainly,
or just find any quarterback who runs.
Or just Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I just looked through. I don't think I had one tournament team with a wide receiver in flex, and that's like
you would never have thought that, but it was so clear that the values at running back, especially this week, outdid any value that you were getting at receiver. You know?
That's like 11 tournament teams that I did in a lot of single entry stuff, and none of them had a wide receiver in flex.
None of these tertiary receivers, except for Juwan Jennings, of course, but none of these tertiary receivers are like getting it. You know, like when quarterbacks are throwing for an average of 208 yards a game, like there is not a lot of meat on the bone for like tertiary receiver play. There just isn't.
And and then you watch Andy Dalton come in for the Carolina Panthers and spin up. He had the first 303 game of the year,
dude, and it was like legitimate. Like I was watching,
it was all real.
Yeah, there was some throws that he made that was like, I mean, that touchdown to Thielen. I mean, that was an incredible throw, and it was like, I mean, he just went for it. It wasn't just like some random like variance went his way. I mean, he was. Yeah, it was
there's definitely double tight end did probably take it down because of Goddard. Goddard was like one of the highest scoring players of the whole slate because that's how rare 100-yard games are now. Even 100-yard games for wide receivers are rare. Like we're almost back to 100-yard games for running backs being more normal.
Was it? I mean, I know. Likely did it in week 1. Is that the only other 100-yard tight end game we've had?
I assume, yeah, has to be.
I think so.
I assume so. Yeah, Komet had a big day. Yeah, Dalton is a professional quarterback. There. What I was gonna say is there's definitely something to these dudes who've been around the NFL for 15 years that they're just like, bro, we understand this whole cover 2, the defense trying to scare us, like trying to hide all that stuff. Like, we can understand what you're doing more than Jaden Daniels can, more than Daniel Jones can, you know?
Yeah. And
well, I mean, Daniel Jones, the leader in the early games, the leaders in Dakota, which is like a passing EPA, expected points, completion percentage over expected combination metric. Justin Fields, Malik Willis, Daniel Jones, and Bo Nix were the top 4 in the early slate. I mean,
Dude,
instead of Derek Carr, CJ Stroud.
Hunter Henry had a 100-yard game. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay. I didn't watch that shit. Of course, I have better things to do with my life. But if for people out there that are listening that like want to read more about like the current football meta, I know you guys subscribe to Ben Gretch's Substack, Stealing Signals. He had a great write-up on it the other day that we were talking about. And then there's a podcast called Plain English, which just is like kind of a variety show. And all of a sudden this week, you know, like I subbed to it to like originally hear about like GLP-1s and things like this and the research behind that. Robert Mays went on the podcast this week and talked a lot about the current football meta, and it was a great episode. It was really, really, really good. So Plain English is the name of the podcast, I believe.
I'm doing a podcast this week with Cody Alexander from Match Quarters, which is like he wrote this great article. So I'm going to basically be like, I don't know shit about ball. You got to tell me what's the deal here? Why is Andy Dalton playing better than Patrick Mahomes? Like, just please break down for me how any of that makes sense. Which I'm looking forward to.
One like caution I would have to everybody though is most projection systems do take into account overall scoring environment and are adjusting as such. And so you got to make sure to not double count, because I actually think the pendulum could swing the other way where people start double counting, where they take these industry aggregate projections and then they do some extra work in their head. And I actually think that that's going to swing back the other way on you pretty quick. So if you're not using your own projections and you're using industry-based projections, like figure out if they're accounting for the low scoring environment, which I'm assuming they are. So
that's how Nate got to Juwan Jennings. He's like, I ain't double counting this shit. Juwan Jennings, baby. Boom.
Well, I mean, people clearly are double counting. I mean, Alvin Kamara is projecting well and then coming in 20% under owned. Like people are doing something off of projections.
Yeah.
Call a little bit of IKB.
Kamara didn't make him pay, man. All the usage. This guy gets 4 touchdowns on the road last week, and this week.
Well, turns out everyone is going to dunk on the Dallas Football Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean they are soft as shit. Derrick Henry put it down on him. Derrick Henry's pretty dusty. Like
Derrick Henry, yeah, I was going to say I didn't consider playing Derrick Henry once this week, and not that it really mattered because I still think he only got like what.
No, Henry was the key to all the tournament winning teams. Every tournament winning team had Dallas double stack with Ferguson, and then they brought it back with Henry as the bring back.
Did they have Turpin over CD?
Tolbert probably.
Yeah. I think it was like a Dak, Tolbert, Ferguson bring back with Derrick Henry. That was like the key to, if there was a game stack that got you there, it was that one.
The key to Gen Wealth. All right, guys. Let's get out of here. Everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate all of you. Remember, you comment on these videos, you get entered into the giveaway. 5% of my Best Ball Mania 5 winnings. Please like the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. If you were listening on the Rotogrinders Fantasy Football feed, you can watch this show on YouTube live on Sunday nights. This ended up not being as tilting as I thought. Honestly, Nate, I'm happy
for yourself,
for you, man.
Bro. Speak for yourself.
I'm it's a little bit easier. it's a little bit easier when you didn't lose every dollar. When you won a little bit, it's a little bit easier to not be tilted at your friends.
I'll bet it is. The only thing that warms my heart is knowing that Nate's kid is going to be able to go to a private school because Nate played Juwan Jennings in cash.
Yeah.
Like,
the best show is when me and Sammy win and Davis fully loses. It's not where we all kind of win. It's when Davis fully loses that we get the best show.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. I'll be back. I'm streaming with Peter tomorrow afternoon. And then this show will be back if you're listening on the rotogrinders feed on Sunday night. See y'all then. Have a great week, everybody.